You made it to 50 with $400,000 invested. You did everything right. You saved, you sacrificed, and still, every time you open a retirement calculator, the numbers just don't add up. It's not a lack of discipline. It's not a lack of effort. It's that you're climbing a ladder, but no one ever showed you how many steps there actually are. And the people who've already made it to the top, they've got a strong incentive to keep that map hidden. Over the next 16 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 5 real steps of the retirement wealth ladder who lives at each level, what each one really takes, and the quiet trap that pulls most people down one step right when they think they've finally made it. If you've got between $100,000 and $1 million invested and you're less than 15 years away from retirement, this video was made for you, specifically for you. Let me ask you something no one really says out loud. Why can two people with the exact same balance, let's say $600,000, end up with completely different retirements? One lives comfortably. The other is constantly stressed, cutting back, worried the money's going to run out. Same number, totally different outcome. The answer isn't the balance, it's which step of the ladder each person is standing on. And that ladder, that's the part the financial industry never really explains in a straight, honest way. Think about it like this. Retirement wealth is like water pressure in a pipe. It's not just about how much water you've got stored up, it's about the pressure, the steady flow. You can have a huge tank with weak pressure or a smaller tank with the right pressure, and the results are completely different. I'm going to come back to this idea a few times because it explains something numbers alone just don't. Now, why does this matter right now? Because between 2025 and 2035, about 11,000 baby boomers are retiring every single day in the United States. The biggest retirement wave in American history is happening right now. And most of those people are going to find out too late that they were on the wrong step of the ladder and that moving up a step after 65 is exponentially harder than doing it at 55. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's not pessimism. It's math. The Secure Act 2, passed in 2022, changed the rules around required minimum distributions, those mandatory withdrawals from retirement accounts. The contribution limit for a 401k in 2025 went up to $23,500. These rules were built inside a system that works very differently depending on which step you're on. If you understand the step, you understand the rules. If you don't, you're playing a game where the rules change based on where you stand, and no one bothers to tell you. Here's what happens when you finally see the ladder for what it is. Folks, we're getting close to 1,000 subscribers on this channel, and honestly, seeing this community grow has been something else. These are people who actually stop and think before they spend. People who run the numbers. People like you. If you want to be part of that, the subscribe button is right there. Let's hit 1,000 together. Step 1. Survival $0 to $100,000 invested. Let's start at the ground level. Not because you're there, but because once you really get this step, everything else starts to make sense. At step 1, retirement depends almost entirely on outside income, Social Security, a pension, maybe some part-time work. The invested portfolio, if there even is one, just doesn't generate enough to cover basic expenses. With $100,000, using a 4% safe withdrawal rate, you're looking at about $4,000 a year. That's roughly $330 a month. Here's the water pressure in the pipe. It's just too low to support anything. Most people who retire at this step didn't plan to be here. They ended up here because of life divorce, health issues, a bad market at the wrong time, and once you're here, climbing up gets really expensive because time, your biggest asset, is already gone. But here's the part nobody really talks about. Step 1 isn't just about how much you have, it's about how it's built. Someone with $80,000 invested but a $3,000 monthly pension can be in a stronger position than someone with $300,000 and zero guaranteed income. Water pressure, not just volume. Step 2. Basic stability, $100,000 to $300,000 invested. This is where most people think they've made it, and honestly, it's the most dangerous step on the ladder. Why? Because it looks like enough right up until you run the real numbers. $300,000 at a 4% withdrawal rate gives you about $12,000 a year. Add the average Social Security benefit, around $1,907 a month in 2025, and now you're at roughly $34,884 a year. That's before taxes, before healthcare. And this is where we've got to say something out loud that a lot of people avoid. Healthcare costs in retirement. According to Fidelity Investments' retiree healthcare cost estimate, the average couple retiring at 65 in 2025 is expected to spend about $315,000 on healthcare over the course of retirement. $315,000. Not cancer treatment, not ICU stays, just normal healthcare. Now, take that $300,000 invested and stack it up against $315,000 in healthcare costs. The math just doesn't work. That's the paradox of step 2. The balance looks respectable, but the pressure in the pipe drops fast the moment you plug in real-world costs. Step 3, functional independence, $300,000 to $750,000 invested. Now we're getting to the step where things actually start to work, but also where one quiet mistake can wreck the whole thing. With $500,000 invested, a 4% withdrawal rate gives you about $20,000 a year. Add Social Security, and most couples at this level can cover their essential expenses without needing to work. This is where the word retirement starts to feel real. But this is also where the second sub-theme shows up, lifestyle creep. That's the technical term for something very human. As your income goes up over the years, your lifestyle rises right along with it, and you don't even notice that your retirement expenses have been calibrated to your lifestyle at 50 time, not 35. Someone making $90,000 at 55 has probably built habits that cost $70,000 to $75,000 a year to maintain. Eating out regularly, traveling, 2 cars, a bigger house than they actually need. So when that person shows up at step 3 with $600,000 invested, it looks like independence. The balance says they're good, but their spending says they're still living like they're on step 2. That's the quiet mistake. Most people figure out how much they need for retirement based on what they spend right now, without realizing those current expenses have already been inflated by 20 years of gradual, unnoticed lifestyle creep. The industry calls this the replacement rate, the idea that you'll need about 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income. Sounds reasonable. In practice, it usually underestimates what people actually spend, especially in the first 10 years of retirement, which tend to be the most active and the most expensive. Step 4, real comfort, $750,000 to $2 million invested. This is where the pressure in the pipe finally stabilizes. With $1 million invested, a 4% withdrawal gives you about $40,000 a year. Add a couple's Social Security, and most households land somewhere between $65,000 and $80,000 annually, enough to maintain a comfortable lifestyle in most U.S. cities, cover healthcare, and still have some breathing room. But there's another layer here. Inflation. Between 2020 and 2024, average U.S. inflation ran around 4.7% a year. And for retirees, inflation in healthcare and housing tends to run even higher than the general number. Something that costs $65,000 today can cost around $107,000 by 2040 just to maintain the exact same lifestyle. Step 4 is comfortable, but it's exposed to 20 years of compounded inflation. If you're on this step, you don't just need assets that keep up with inflation. You need assets that actually outpace it. Step 5, legacy $2 million and up. This is the step wealthy people don't exactly advertise, not because they're trying to hide it, but because the tools available up here are pretty much out of reach if you're below it. With $2 million plus invested, the portfolio can generate enough income to cover all your expenses without touching the principal. The pipe is running at full pressure. The money works, you don't have to. And it goes beyond that. At this level, strategies like irrevocable life insurance trusts, grantor retained annuity trusts, and Roth conversion ladders actually become practical. These aren't theoretical ideas. They're real mechanisms used to reduce the tax burden on wealth as it gets passed down to the next generation. The problem? A financial advisor working with clients in step 2 or 3 usually doesn't have real experience with these tools. And the advisors who do have that experience typically aren't working with anyone below step 4. The ladder's real, the steps are real, and the distance between them, you can actually measure it. Now, let's put some real numbers on your situation. 2 scenarios. See which one sounds like you. Scenario A, you've got $200,000 to $400,000 invested, age 50 to 55. You're probably thinking, I've got time. If I keep contributing, I'll get to $1 million. That's a reasonable expectation. But here's what the math actually says. If you've got $300,000 today, you're adding $2,000 a month, and your portfolio grows at 7% a year, In 15 years, you'll end up with about $985,000, just about $1 million. Sounds great, but in 15 years, with 3% inflation, the purchasing power of that $985,000 is closer to $633,000 in today's dollars. And if healthcare keeps inflating at around 5% a year, which is the historical average, you could need about $571,000 just to cover healthcare over the course of retirement. Here's the psychological trap. You're focused on the account balance. The financial industry reinforces that because it manages portfolios, not retirements. What you should do right now, figure out your real replacement rate, not 70 to 80% of your income. Go pull your last 3 months of bank statements and calculate what you actually spend. It's probably higher than you think. That number, that's the one that matters. Scenario B, you've got $500,000 to $900,000 invested, age 50 to 58. You're probably thinking, I'm in good shape, maybe I tweak a few things, but I'm basically fine. This is the most comfortable step to be on and the easiest one to underestimate risk. Here's what's really going on. With $700,000 invested at 55, you're in step 3, moving towards step 4. But 20 years of lifestyle creep have likely built a spending level that's higher than your portfolio can sustainably support. The 4% withdrawal rate, known as the 4% rule, originally based on research by William Bengen in 1994, assumed a roughly 50-50 mix of stocks and bonds over a 30-year retirement. But if you retire at 58 and live to 90, that's 32 years. And over that time, compounded inflation can eat away at your portfolio more than the original study accounted for. Here's the psychological trap. The industry wants you to believe 1 million is the magic number. It's not. The real number is what you spend and how that spending behaves over 30 years of inflation. What you should do right now, run what financial planners call a stress test on your portfolio. Take your current spending, project it forward with about 3.5% annual inflation for 30 years, and see if your current balance can support that without running out. Tools like FireCalc can do this for free. Chances are you'll find a gap. Better to see it now than at 67. In both scenarios, there's a window, and that window keeps closing as the years go by. 20 years are going to pass either way. Now you see the ladder. So what do you actually do with that? Here are 4 concrete steps, not generic, you can start this week. Step 1, map your real step, not the one you think you're on. Go to the Social Security Administration website and check your projected benefit. Add that to 4% of your current portfolio. That total yearly is your real retirement income today. Now, compare that to what you actually spent over the last 12 months. The difference between those two numbers is your real gap. The question is, are you willing to face that number or keep avoiding it? Face it. Step 2, calculate your real replacement rate, not the industry version. Download your last 6 months of bank statements. Break your spending into categories. Include the stuff you know you'll want to keep in retirement, travel, eating out, private health insurance. That's your real number. Now compare it to what 4% of your portfolio actually produces. Most people realize they need 20 to 30% more than they thought. Step 3, open or consolidate your retirement accounts with this new map in mind. If you've got old 401k accounts scattered across past employers, roll them into an IRA. That gives you more control over your allocation and makes it easier to run a proper stress test. Use tools like FireCalc to run your current portfolio through real historical scenarios. It's not about predicting the future, it's about being prepared for it. Step 4, build your protection layer against inflation and healthcare. Look at your portfolio and figure out how much is actually allocated to assets that have historically outpaced inflation, dividend growth stocks, tips, REITs. If less than 40% of your portfolio is in those, you've got inflation risk that doesn't show up when you just look at your balance. You don't have to do everything at once. Do step 1 today. The rest will follow. So it's not that the financial system is against you. It's that the system was built for people who understand the steps, and most people never get that understanding. You just did. From now on, when someone throws out 1 million as the magic number for retirement, you're going to see it differently. You'll ask, 1 million on which step? With what replacement rate? With what healthcare assumptions? That's the difference between just watching the game and actually understanding how it's played. If this video changed how you think about that number, drop a comment and tell me which step you're on and what your biggest concern is right now. because now you know where you stand. The next question is how to move up. We can get into that in the next video. If this helped you in any way, hit like and subscribe to the channel. Take care. See you soon.